And with that, I just want to welcome everybody on this evening's webinar. It has been an amazing year, this 2014. I don't know about anybody on the line here, but boy, does time go quick. And here we are at the very end of the year, and we're all in a place starting our new year, which is a good time for reflection. It's a good time to look back and see what life lessons came in 2014 and see what you want to do to strategize and apply different strategies so that you can make 2015 more profitable, more successful, and just more everything that you're looking for based on whatever your dreams or goals are. I'm going to go ahead and get this kicked off. I will be your host tonight. My name is Cody McKinley, and I'm going to be introducing quite a few top leaders here. So we're going to get into this, and we're going to go pretty quick. So like I said at the beginning, if you could, grab a pen and paper. You may want to take some notes. Our first speaker tonight is somebody that, you know, I've been very, very privileged. And I say privileged. I've known this woman for quite some time now, and she's just the type of person, when she walks in a room, she lights it up. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I don't want to steal too much of her thunder, but it's an honor and a pleasure to introduce Heather Halls this evening as our first speaker. Heather, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you.
Thank you, Cody. That was a very nice introduction. And Cody, you are fabulous. You're phenomenal. And I am very, very grateful that you are on our team.
Thank you, thank you.
I'm super excited to be here tonight, and I hope all of you are too. So let's just get right down to it. Each year at this time, people across our country, people throughout the world go through the ritual of goal setting, or what we like to say, New Year's resolutions. For Youngevity, we're going to call this goal setting. Now, what we need to think of with goal setting is the difference between goals and dreams. We need to figure out how goals and dreams interact. So goals are our actions, which, if taken, they will help our dreams come true. A goal needs to be worded positively. Positive reinforcement always helps our mind. It needs to have a realistic chance for success with a measurable date for completion. Let's remember that oftentimes it takes several goals to make a dream come true. Okay, we've got an example of a dream now. Let's say our dream for 2015 is, I'm going to become a presidential marketing director. A sample, a goal, would be, I will develop the best invitation that will work on at least 50% of the people I speak with. This is very positively worded. And I also want to mention, when we are setting our goals, when we are deciding what our dreams are going to be, we're writing these down. All of us know this. We're writing them down. We want a completion date. For that goal, completion date, January 4th of 2015. Maybe you don't reach it by January 4th. Maybe you reach it January 2nd, January 22nd. When you do reach your goal, write the completion date down. Just like you write your dream out, just like you write your goal out, write the completion date down. Another example of a goal, I will invite at least 5 people per day, 6 days per week, to learn more. Another aspect of goal setting and dream realization are understanding the first 2 rules of resolutions. These 2 first rules are commitment and motivation. We all understand these 2 words very well. The reason people don't succeed is because they are not committed and or motivated enough. If you're not truly committed to your business, if you're not truly motivated to reach your goals and to reach your dreams, you will likely fail. And am going to add, you will most likely fail. However, if you are committed, if you are motivated, you will succeed. Where do we go back? I need to go back. Hold on, sorry. Okay. Cody, can you take me back one slide? Thank you. We talked a little bit earlier about your goals needing to be realistic chance for success. Know where you are and what you need to do to achieve your dreams. This can help you set realistic goals. If you are an SEMD and you want to become a presidential, you need to know the additional steps for you to achieve your dreams. For example, you will need at least 5 SEMD legs. You will need at least 10,500 in GB. To accomplish this, you will need to 1. Recruit leaders and motivated people. 2. Make sure their goal is to become at least SEMD, hopefully more. 3. Be sure they know what is needed to become an SEMD. And 4. Be willing to do anything and everything to help them succeed. I want to reinforce number 4. Be willing to do anything and everything. This is part of being committed and having motivation. And we can also use this acronym. Use the SMART method. S, be specific. You want your goals to be specific. You want your dream to be specific. M, you want your goals and dreams to be measurable. In the last slide, we talked about needing 10,500 in group volume. This is a measurable goal. A, it needs to be attainable. You need to be able to set goals that you will have the ability to reach. R, relevant. How relevant is this goal to achieving my dream? And you need to teach your downline. How relevant are your goals to reaching your dreams? T is time. How much time is this going to take? And we need to be realistic about that time as well. So remember that acronym SMART. Use the SMART method. Remember that success takes time and perseverance. We're involved in an industry where you can earn more than your doctor or lawyer. It took most of them 7 to 10, even 12 years of dedicated studying. Are you willing? Are you dedicated? You will not earn what you are worth in your first month, 6 months, or possibly even your first year. But you can earn even more than they, your doctors, lawyers, do with time and with perseverance. Cody, I'm turning this back to you. I hope all of us can stay determined and motivated throughout the year to reach our goals and dreams. Take it away, Cody.
Hey, Heather, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. Know, what you just talked about, hey, thank you. And what you just talked about reminded me of a early mentor I had in my career. And he always said, you know what, Cody, it's never the fault of the bullseye. It's never the fault of the bullseye. You have to identify. You got to be smart. Everything you just talked about, and be clear about what your goals are. And then you know what you're aiming at. So I really enjoyed what you talked about, Heather, and we're all better for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And right now, I'm going to move over to Florida, and we've got Michelle Van Etten. What can I say about Michelle, you know? Sometimes I say she's a sister from another mother, and she's just been amazing since the time I've had to get to know her. You know, her energy is infectious. She's always excited, and she's always positive, and I'm really excited to hear what you have to talk about tonight, Michelle. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cody. I'm glad to be on the call. One of the things that I've noticed that is the most important thing that we can focus on when we bring somebody new in, or even on ourselves in the new year, my goal was to think of the new year as being a brand new into the business, and how that excitement and the nervousness and everything of going back out there and getting the job done. And so when I bring people in, the thing I ask them is why. We always want to find out the why. Well, I ask them that at least 3 times. And the reason is, I hear people say, my reason why is I would like to get a new car. Or I need money for a car. I'm like, well, okay, that's cool. You need money for a car. Do you need money for anything else? It's digging deeper to find out what emotionally moves people, because you have to find their motivator to be able to really connect with them. My why is I want my children to believe in dreams, that there's not a dream or anything that they want that's bigger than they are, as long as they're willing to go out and do the work it takes to get the job done. And so I've focused on not being a dream stealer. I guess this business helps with that. And telling my kids to dream bigger and believe that anything they can and want to is possible. So I try to bring back that same feeling to my new distributors, is giving them that why factor, letting them really dig deep and become emotionally attached to their reason for joining the business. Some of the statistics we have found that by the time a child is in kindergarten, they've heard the word no 40,000 times, and they've only heard the word yes 8,000. And I know when I was in school, they even put it on my report card. She's a dreamer, head in the clouds, and it was considered a bad thing. If you were constantly thinking about what else is out there, what more can you get out of life, that was a bad thing. Put your nose back in the books, study, go to college. And so by the age of 30, we've forgotten how to dream. It's kind of been beaten out of us without actually hitting us, of course. But the whole concept of dreaming is gone. We are supposed to stick to this strict plan of go to school, get a degree, go work for 40 years, and then we're supposed to be okay after that. So in the first 48 hours, it's extremely important to teach your team how to teach their new distributors. And what I'm planning on doing starting January 1st is starting this all over, is being a dream builder, creating your dream life. So an exercise I do is I have people write for 15 minutes. What would their life look like if money were no object? What would a day in their life look like if money were no object? Write it in present tense, like it was happening right now. You have to be very descriptive, detailed. Even say what you're wearing, where you're going. If you live on the beach, for me, I want to live on the water. So I want to open up my door and have the beautiful water there and sit out there and drink my coffee before I start my day. And that's something that fuels me. I see it every day. And I work very hard to clarify exactly what that day looks like, so that that dream is just a few steps away. Because all we're doing is taking this one step at a time. But if you forget this dream part, then there's nothing that you're looking towards. And once you've created your dream day of your dream life, go find pictures that represent your new life. Think big, think small, kind of think about all the different things you would like to achieve and put those on your dream board. Have your family get involved. My family each has a dream board in their room. My kids do, my husband does. We all have our dream boards, and we look at them every day. And it kind of motivates the kids. When I'm on the phone and I'm working, they know what the dream is. And they're going on a cruise, and their first cruise they're going to ever go on, they have a balcony. So they're living a dream. And they're having fun. They're getting to travel. So I've taken and added the family into it. If you have a special car you like, go to the dealership, take a picture. I did that, and I ended up with the car a week later. Exact car that I went and looked at. So dream board is extremely important. And Cody, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much. And you know, luckily I know you as well as I know you, and you truly live everything you just spoke about. And your why, my goodness, some people, most people that get in a home-based business, a lot of times it is a new car. It's a vacation, more money for vacation. It's more time freedom, college for their kids, their retirement, their dream home. Get in touch with your why and dream without limitations. I can't really validate enough what Michelle said and how important it is to the process of what's going between your ears and through your brain so you can create whatever reality you want. Thank you so much, Michelle. That is amazing. And I'm going to move over to our next speaker. And I got to tell you, Anna Broom is our next person. And I don't know Anna personally as well as I know some of the others, but vicariously, I know you very well, Anna, through Keith. And I know that your leadership is infectious, and I know you've done a lot of great things for this company and for your team and all of us, and it's just a real honor to have you on this evening. I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Cody. Thanks so much. And I'm excited to have followed Michelle and her dream board because I have to put in, of course, a plug for Heritage Makers and the photos and the fact that you can make a dream board poster in Heritage Makers, and for under $3 you can print it out and you can post that up somewhere in your office. So I had to throw that plug in there. All right, so we are going to move now into belief. And I think one of the most important parts after you have that why is believing in yourself. You have to have a belief system, and it's something that you will always have to work at no matter how long you've been in this business, because you've been in a week or you've been in it 10 years, there's going to be some stumbling block, something that happens to you where you have to have that belief system in place in order to pull yourself up and go, you know what, I'm bigger than that. I know I can get through this. So we're going to talk about the belief system today. And that I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, because the thing I want to talk about first is those goals that Heather talked about in the beginning. Once you have those goals and you know what your why is, the goals are going to support that why. And just like the dream board, you have that up at your desk. But I'd also recommend putting little pieces of paper or photos in places that you're going to see it throughout the day, maybe on your bathroom mirror or on the refrigerator. If it is a cruise that your kids, you're going to take them on a Disney cruise, take a picture of the ship and put that up on the refrigerator, so every time you walk by, you're reminded, I have this goal, this is my why, this is my business. So it's in your face constantly. It becomes so much more clear when you have it there. And then you have to remember that failure will never overtake you if your determination to succeed is strong enough. You have to remind yourself, all the time that you are bigger than whatever it is that's coming at you, the negativity, or like what I'm going to show you on the next slide, the dream stealers. Over there. So in network marketing, I think that's a term we never used to say that in our other jobs, but I hear it all the time here, so it must be a network marketing term, the dream stealers. So who are those dream stealers? These are everybody around you. They're people that want to question your decisions. Why did you join that? Is it a pyramid scheme? This is never going to work for you. You'll never be able to have that. No way are you going to be able to. Well, that is so wrong. You can have whatever you want. And there's never been a time when I have ever let those people tell me, you can't go on that incentive trip. You can't make $5,000 a month. You can't make $100,000 a month. I see people on this call that inspire me every day, and I know that they're normal people just like you and I. If they can do it, why can't we do it? We absolutely can do it. Anybody can do it that really wants to work hard and to put their perseverance out there and to really do it. So you have to stay away from these negative people and these dream stealers, because that's all they want to do, is they want to take it away from you because they didn't have the confidence or they didn't have the belief system in place to do it themselves. So how do you build that belief system? There's the 4 things that you really need to develop in the belief system. Is you really have to have confidence in the company, the products, the compensation plan, and yourself. Those are the 4 areas that you need to develop. And to do that, and this is one of the things that Keith taught us really early on when we came in, is this 20-minute belief system that he has in place, where you have to take time every single day to read and learn in a quiet place. you can't be interrupted with phone calls and emails. You really have to dedicate that time uninterrupted for 15 minutes a day, and you need to write out the notes, the important things that you've learned, or type them, and you need to put them into folders, whether they're folders at your desk or they're on your computer, but somehow you need to categorize them, and you're going to do that in those same 4 categories: company, products, compensation, and you. And there's a tendency in this business to try and focus a lot on learning about products. And obviously it's really important to know about the products, but you really have to remember that it's an equal balance. You have to be confident in the company as well as the comp plan. That's a huge one that it's kind of interesting. A lot of leaders on my team are really confident in the products and even maybe in themselves, but they don't understand the compensation plan, and they just figure, oh, it'll just happen. Well, really, you need to understand it so that when people ask you questions about it, you're confident and this is how you get to be a leader, and this is how you're paid at that level. So those are the 4 areas that you need to equally build that belief system in. So not only are you going to put the notes in this folder from those 15-minute intervals every day, but you're also going to take all of the notes that you get from meetings or conventions, or when you're on the phone calls, every day there's a different call that you can hop on. Any of those calls, you're going to take all of those from those events, and when you get home, you're going to type them or write them up, and you're going to file those into those sections. And when you're new, you're going to go back, and every week you're going to read through all of those notes. And within a week or so, you're going to start to know the difference because you're rereading things and you're learning and you're absorbing. And within a month, you're going to see your skills improve on all 4 of those areas. And within a couple months, people are going to start coming to you for help, and your team's going to start to grow, and you're going to start teaching them how to do this exact same thing so that they have the belief system in place as well. And the other thing that I think is equally important is finding yourself a solid accountability partner. Now, this is another distributor that's preferably not in your downline, but somebody that you work really well with. You might have met them at a convention. You might have met them at a local meeting, but somebody that's like-minded and on pace with where you are. They don't even need to be on your direct team. I mean, they certainly can be, but anybody that you've met that is somebody who is on track to do sort of the same thing as you. They have similar goals. They're at a similar pace. And this is somebody that you will regularly meet with and support each other each other on the phone or through email, in person, however you need to, but it's important that you guys are there to support each other. You have to lift each other up, cheer each other on, listen to each other when you're down, because there's going to be times when you're just having a bad week. You've had a lot of people that said no, you maybe thought that some things were going to happen and they didn't come through, and all of us get depressed. And you need that person to say, hey, I need to just vent a little here, I need to say a couple of things, and I need somebody who can lift me up and tell me, remember why you're doing this. Look at that belief system. Look at those pictures on your fridge. Remember your kids. That's why you're doing this. And you're also there to push each other along so that you can say, okay, this month we're gonna totally push each other, and we're gonna go for getting 4 CEOs each. That's what we're doing this month. Are you in? Are you here with me? So you find that person, and some of these people have, like I have one that has been with me for a really long time. We've been friends forever, and you become so close with these people. Your families become close, and it's just an amazing thing when you can have that partnership with somebody, and it's not related to your own team even. In a lot of cases, you're on separate teams, and it's just it's something that, like us doing this call today together, I think of you guys kind of as accountability partners. And Michelle is not on the same team as me, but I know I've come to her a couple times and sent her messages through text and stuff going, hey, I need you to cheer me up on this or whatever, and she's been great about that. So I just encourage you guys to really do that, to look for an accountability partner and to get that belief system in place. So there you go, Cody. Thanks so much.
Hey, you know what? That was amazing, Anna. I hope you can see my smile through the phone, because what you talked about is so crucial. Success leaves keys. It leaves clues. And you're a very, very successful person. You're in top ranks of this compensation plan. And what you talked about reminded me a lot of the big things I had to deal with starting out. So many people have to overcome their limitations, and your belief system allows you money. A lot of times we start with our home-based business, limited support from our friends and family. it's one of those things that you have to be able to build your belief system so that you don't let any of those blocks get in your way. And I had somebody tell me once early in my career, you know what, Cody? A billionaire looks just like you and me in a hot tub. There's no difference. And once I really believed that and I thought about it and then I started thinking about some of these things, it always comes back to your belief system. So that was amazing, Anna. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next speaker, which I'm really excited about. Helen, Keith has told me a lot about you, and this is Helen Watt, everybody, and she's going to be our next speaker, and she's just an absolute big leader with a capital L, has skyrocketed to the top of this compensation plan, and when she speaks, we all should listen. So I know we're in for a big treat. I'm going to hand it over to you, Helen. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Cody, for that great introduction. And I just love how Anna finished out her part with the accountability partner, because that is such a great lead-in to what I want to talk about, which is helping your team advance by the belief in our products. And it's not really what you're doing for you, but what you can do for other people. And one of the best things that you can do for other people is to teach them about the amazing products that we have here at Youngevity. And we want to talk with you about how you can increase your paycheck and, more importantly, help other people by showing them products that they are already purchasing on an everyday basis from other stores and how they can do a transfer purchase and start buying those same products from our company. Lots of people drink coffee. If they don't, we also sell tea. And they wash their hair, they do laundry, they certainly eat food. They need nutritional support. They may want sports drinks and use mineral makeup. So those are just some great products that we have, but we actually have over 2,000 products. So there's certainly an abundance of opportunities for you to pick from for transferring your purchases. Oh, Cody, I went too fast. So you can get me back one. I did the same thing Heather did. Heather, I'm glad you did it first. So we're going to go back here to looking at where you're currently purchasing and where you can pick a Youngevity product that would fill those same needs. And we're just going to encourage you to try one or ideally two products every single month when you're out of something. And that's exactly what I did when I jumped into this business last year, was that when I ran out of the current moisturizer that I was using, instead of going to my local department store and to their makeup counter to spend $48 for that face cream, I looked at Youngevity and said, well, we've got a great mineral makeup line. I'm going to try that face cream. And slowly, as I ran out of different things, blush and foundation and eyeshadow, I started buying the other parts of the product. And then, of course, I jumped in and bought the CEO kit because I loved it. But just look at what you're buying on a regular basis. Do you have a meal replacement shake? Well, Slender FX is great for that. Do you use a probiotic to help with your tummy sometimes? Well, Root Beer Belly is phenomenal. Like I already talked about, shampoo and conditioner. The Botanical Spa shampoo and conditioner is great, but we actually have 3 different shampoo and conditioners that you can pick from 3 different brands. We have the Youngevity Botanical line. We have a Sole Purpose, and we also have Beyond Organic. So there's lots of different ones that you can try. And someone said recently to me, well, how do I know if I'll like it? Well, you don't really know the answer to that when you're in the grocery store either, right? You just try it and you see if you like it. And honestly, I can say every single product that I have tried, with the exception of one, and so literally probably 150 different products that we're now using, only one product that I really like. So chances are you're going to like it too. And then we just ask you to share that with your friends and family, customers, and team. Now, what I do to help me with that is I create a shopping list. I don't know, Cody, did you take the controls back? I create a shopping list, and I keep that next to my computer. And every time I'm about the house and I notice that we're running low on something, I write it on my Youngevity shopping list. And it's the same thing that you have like a grocery store list, right, on your fridge. Most people have it on their fridge, or some people even keep their shopping list on their smart device. but you can just write down what do you need and find that corresponding product within Youngevity to help you with that. So once you've figured out several products that you like, the next thing that you're going to want to do is look at auto ship. Now, why would you want to be on auto ship? Well, there's several great reasons. It's super convenient. It's flexible. A lot of people think that auto ship means you're going to get the exact same product every single month, and that's not true. You might want the same products like your 90 for life, but you might also want to try different products. Like I told you, one month I got some face cream and the other month I got eyeshadow or blush. So it's flexible. Every single month you can modify the contents of your order to get exactly what you need. And as long as that order is over at least $50 of QV, you'll qualify for free shipping in the United States. There's a couple of other levels that we want you to look at when creating auto ships, both for yourself and helping your team. At the $100 auto ship level, those distributors are automatically qualifying at the IMD level. And what's great about that is that as an SEMD, you need 12 personally enrolled IMDs to get you the car bonus. So that's great for your team building, but for them, it sets them up for quick start bonuses. So that's really a key amount to look at is $100 because we don't want folks to miss out on quick start bonuses. That's 30% of the BV that's paid to the enroller on that new business they bring in every month. That's a huge income bonus, so don't let folks miss out on that. Make sure the QV gets to that $100 level. But the next level is at $150, and what's really nice about that is that's our junior management level. It's called an RMD, or Regional Marketing Director, and that actually is where they're starting to build those legs. And an SEMD needs 3 people at the RMD level to count for them to be an SEMD. So let's talk about a couple ways that you could do that. I put down some ideas here. At the $50 level, that amazing Aroma Share Club that we have, our oil production has gone through the roof, and that's just $50 a month. The QV, the BV, it's all $50, so that's fabulous. It's a great thing to do as an auto ship. You could also do the Heritage Maker Silver Club, and like Anna said, where you can create that dream board, you can do that and so much more. So I love Heritage Makers. I got to put a plug in for that as well. And that's a great way to jump in is on the Silver Club. The Our Memories for Life scrapbooking line, that is phenomenal as well. So if you're the type of person that wants to do things cut and paste or do your dream board 3-dimensionally in your office, then the Our Memories for Life products are great. And they have an auto ship that goes out every month. And, of course, any combination of those transfer purchases. Now, if you're looking for the $100 to $150 level, you can certainly do a combination of those $50 levels or add it onto your Healthy Body Pack that will get you to that $100 or $150 level. So let's take a look at our teams and our customers and see who is and who isn't currently on auto ship. When you sign into your back office, you can go to your report that will tell you exactly how many people within your organization are on auto ship, and then you can reach out to them and help them get set up. Share those same benefits of why they would want to be on auto ship, the flexibility, the convenience, and of course the free shipping once they're over $50. And I'm sure they'll be excited about setting up this opportunity. We want people to be shopping, again, in their own store. It will help your team grow and help them get paid at a level as well because they'll be set up for those quick start bonuses. So I just wanted to share those ideas on how we can switch where we shop and go shopping from our own stores. Thanks very much, Cody and Keith, for giving me that opportunity.
Thank you. That was so invaluable. Those details are absolutely invaluable in what you just covered. And, you know, obviously, those that have, of us that have been doing this for a long time, we know auto ships is the lifeblood of our business. And as I always tell people, listen, don't pay shipping. Get on auto ship. We don't want to, you know, we're not Fred Flintstone on the way to the quarry with 1 foot out of the car. We just don't pay shipping at Youngevity. You got to get on auto ship. And Thank you so much, because that stuff is just so invaluable, Helen. And I was writing notes feverishly, so that was very, very well articulated, and I do appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else does as well. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to go ahead and move over to our final act, so to speak. And this gentleman is truly, I mean, what can I say? I just got to slow down and say, you know, I don't throw around this word, but I do consider Keith Halls a legend in the industry of network marketing and home-based business. And you know what? I'm not alone. He was recently listed in the top 35 most influential personalities and people in the industry of direct sales and network marketing. He's broken all kinds of records. And what's interesting about Keith is not only has he performed in the top 10th of 1% as a distributor in the field, but prior to that, he helped drive a billion-dollar company from scratch with a handful of other people and was the CFO of that company. And I got to tell you what, when Keith says something's good, I listen. When Keith sees the right timing and says it's time to take action, I listen. One reason only, experience. And this guy's got a heart of gold. And Keith, you're a good friend, you're a mentor, you're a coach, you're a partner, and it's just an honor to have you on the call this evening with each and every one of us to share your wisdom. I'm going to hand it over to you, buddy.
Well, first of all, thank you very, very much, Cody. But even a bigger and greater thanks to Michelle, Anna, to Helen, and to Heather for joining on before me and sharing their wisdom, which I can promise you is a lot more than anything that I can imagine. At the end of a year, I like to look back over this last year, and over this last year, so much has happened, and it has been one of the greatest years of my life. At the end of 2013, Michelle Van Etten and her wonderful husband and I started working together, and then at the beginning of 2014, I met these two just amazing ladies out there, Anna Broom and Helen Watt. I first went to Anna's event. It was almost a year ago right now, and I remember when I went there, there still weren't a whole lot of people that had joined, I guess is the right way to say everything, and Anna had a lot of friends who were there for a weekend of scrapbooking. I don't know the exact number, but I dare say it was well over 200 or 250 people. And as we started that night, she had that inkling of a belief, and she was willing to share that belief with Lisa Nelson and with myself. And I can remember at the beginning of that night that there were just almost a few tears of nervousness inside of Anna. And I've watched, though, as Anna and as Helen, as Michelle, and as so many other people that are within the team, how they have grown and how they've blossomed in this year, 2014. This last year for the group, we've added over 20,000 new members to our team. And what that means to me, of course, is that we've added new leaders, we've added new customers, but most importantly, we've added a lot of great new friends. 2014, as I said, has been one of the greatest years, but what I'm really excited about is the year 2015, because if 2014 was one of the greatest, 2015, I can tell you, is going to be the greatest year for a lot of different reasons. One of the big reasons is my wife and I will start working together full time, and that's a great benefit for me because I can promise you she is a lot better looking, a lot better to look at than I am, and she's a lot smarter. I look at this year as a breakout year for our company and what's going to happen. You know, a lot of people sometimes will come to me and they'll say, Keith, I don't know where to go to find some new people. And the answer that I give to people over and over and over again is People are looking for you. And when I say that, sometimes people will look at me as if I've lost my mind, but I said, no, think about it with me. I said, do you realize that in this wonderful, amazing country of ours, that 4 out of 5 adults at some point in their adult life will suffer from bankruptcy, will suffer either from bankruptcy, poverty, or unemployment of a year or more. And each and every person on this call has the ability to help that 80% of people in our country who are struggling. And not only can we help them on the wealth end, but we can also help them on the health end, from the inside out and from all the different angles, from all the different wonderful products that our company has. One of the things I'd like to talk about tonight is what I have always liked to call the mechanics of wealth. Now, when people ask when I joined network marketing, sometimes, even though the correct answer was back in 1984, sometimes though, I say, you know what, in reality, it almost goes back to the time when I was 14 years old. When I was 14, there was a rule that we had at our house, my parents had, and that was that we had to find a job. And that was tough. It was a small little town that we grew up in, and what made it even harder was in that small little town there was a university, and so what few jobs there were, usually they were soaked up and the university students were able to get them. So I had to think quite hard on what I would do because the rule had been set, so I had to have a job. As I was thinking about it when I was 14, I remembered back to the previous summer when some of our neighbors had been complaining. That was at about the time, and this really ages me, and I feel bad almost, but that was at about the time when people started hiring other people to do their lawn. They started hiring other people to cut their grass, to pull the weeds, to do all those different chores. And I decided that when I was 14, I would be a lawn boy. There was only a couple problems that I had. Number one, I'd never mowed a yard, so I didn't even know what I was talking about. And so when I announced that to my parents, I can still remember there were some chuckles at the dinner table that night, especially because my dad said, Keith, you don't even know what it's like to mow a yard, bud. And I said, that's okay. I'm going to go out, and I'm going to be the greatest lawnmower this world has ever seen. I realized very quickly when nobody came to me to ask me to be their greatest lawn boy, I needed to make a presentation where I could go and acquire new clients. So I did a little bit of the studying, and I found out that the professional people that my neighbors have been complaining about, they were charging the exorbitant rate of $4 a yard. And so I put down on a piece of paper, well, if the professionals are charging $4, and then I said, I think I could mow a yard in 2 hours. Now, don't ask me how I came up with that, because I'd never mowed a yard, but that was my belief. And so I then went, okay, if I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, multiplied it by 4, and I realized it wasn't as much money as I wanted. And people say, why? And I say, it's easy. I was a teenager. Everybody here knows teenagers have serious cash flows, and I was one of them. So my job actually became a little bit harder because I had to go out and not only sell my neighbors on me, but I increased the rate to $5. I had, by the time school was out and it was time for me to go out and start this wonderful job, I had all my time completely booked out. The first probably day or two is all it took before I realized I didn't like mowing yards. It was hard, and I lived in Texas, and I can promise you that sun was just beating down on me, and I wanted to get out, but I knew I couldn't because quitting was never an option for my family. Then, and so I just said, all right, I'm going to have to make it through this year, or this summer, I should say. Then I had been mowing for a grand total of about 2 weeks when a friend called, and he said, Keith, I'm having a swimming pool party. Would you like to come? Now, that's the first time I'd ever been invited to a swimming pool party or anything like that, and I wanted to go more than anything in the world. He invited, I think it was just 10 people, and when I told him that I couldn't go, that I had yards to mow, he delivered, I would call the coup de grace, when he said, Keith, the such and such girl will be there, and whoever that such and such girl was, at that time, I was convinced she was going to be my wife, and I couldn't dare or stand to think of other guys at the swimming pool looking at my future wife in her bathing suit. So I had to find a way to get to that swimming party. I asked my friend, I said, who else is coming? And after he told me, I realized one of my best friends had not been invited. His name is John. So I called John and I said, John, would you like to earn some money tomorrow? And he said, I'd love to, but you've taken up everything that is out there with the lawn mowing. And I said, John, listen, that's just what friends are for. I'll share some of these yards with you. You can earn some money if you'd like to. And he said, oh, Keith, that is so nice of you. I mean, I don't know how to thank you. And I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead, and if you're willing to mow 3 yards, which is about a 6-hour block. And then at the end, he said, hey, Keith, yeah, how much do I get paid? I was getting paid $5, and I said, John, you'll get paid $4 for mowing the yard. And I said, don't ask the people to try to collect the money. I'll go by later on tonight, or tomorrow night, I'll collect the money, and then I'll bring it by to you. I called the other friend, Paul, back, and I said, Paul, is that invitation still available? He said yes, and I said, I can come to the party. And all I can remember is that next day, I went to a swimming party. I went swimming. Somebody else mowed the yards, and by the end of the day, I went, I collected the money, I paid my friend John, and I had money in my pocket. I thought it was the greatest thing that ever happened in the entire world. And I asked my friend, I said, would you like to mow some more yards? And I went out, and after I finished mowing at night, I created my own workforce who would go out and mow yards, and I would pay them less than what I was getting paid. I was young and I was naive, and I was scared to death, first of all, my friends would find out that I was getting paid $5 and paying them $4 and some of them $3. And I went to my mother. I can still remember in tears saying, Mom, I think I've done something wrong. And I told her all about it. And she said, Keith, all you've done is what's done every day in this wonderful land of ours. You started a business. You're 14 and you started a business of your own. And if you can continue this, great things can come from that. I did continue that. And I continued that not only when I was 14 and 15, but I continued that all through high school. By the time I graduated, I had over 10 people. I'm not sure if it was quite 15. It was over 10 people that were working for me. And I was able to earn more money from the 10 people who were working for me than from the yards that I personally was mowing. In fact, in that time period, I saved enough money where I was able to get fund 2 university degrees in my life, and I was also able to fund a 2-year mission. I went, and after I finished those 2 degrees in the university, and I practiced as a CPA for almost a week or 2, but I realized that it didn't have what I wanted. You see, in the mechanics of wealth, there's something else. In the mechanics of wealth, let me kind of go down. I hope that, let me skip this to the next slide. I'm so sorry. But in the mechanics of wealth, what I learned is that the rich kept getting richer, and unfortunately, a lot of times the poor kept getting poorer. And I wanted to find out, how are the people getting wealthy? And I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of studying, and I realized it was through leveraged income, and it was through residual income. The thought of receiving a check for work that I'm going to do today, that I'm doing tonight, the thought that I will get paid for this work that I'm doing tonight for the rest of my life is just beyond me. But that's the power of this industry. Residual income that each and every one of us can have. And leveraged income, it's only a small amount, but what's great about our industry is we have shared leverage. We share that leverage with many people. Every time a sale is made, 12, 13, sometimes even 14 or 15 people are paid on that one sale. That's leveraged income that's shared, whereas in the corporate world, it's only shared with the very, very few at the top. No other industry, as I said, has these two. We have the mechanics of wealth with leveraged income and with residual income. And of all the compensation plans that I've ever been able to look at, none have a greater plan than Youngevity. Now, when you come to understand the mechanics of wealth, and you start to share the opportunity that we have available here to each and every one of us at Youngevity, the next thing, the most important thing, when you sign someone up, today my wife signed up a new person, and the most important thing she wanted to know was, can I get plugged in to the system? The system does the work. And we'll talk about it very briefly. There's 6 steps in the system. Step number 1, before I go too far, I always want to remember, too many people in our industry try to reinvent the wheel. There's too many people even within our own company that try and invent the system wheel. There's no need to do that. Guys, our system, it's been well thought out, it's clear, it's defined, but most importantly, it works. So, what is the system? First, joining the team. When you're signing someone, I always say that there's 2 main ways to bring in new people, and they're both great, but there's one thing that there's things that are very, very important. If I'm bringing on a business builder, and it says builders, and I apologize, it should say product users, right where it says builders, but when I'm bringing on a product user, not only do I sign them up, but I want to make sure, like Anna and like Heather, or excuse me, like Helen were talking about, that we get that initial order up to at least 150 QV. The most important step in that is that last step. Is not only do I want that initial order, I want the auto ship order on when I'm talking with John or Jane Doe. That auto ship order is what's going to create the residual income for each and every one of you. Another way that brings massive action and also massive results is with the CEO package. The CEO package is, I can't even begin to say how amazing it is. In fact, many times when I'm talking to people, I tell them it's almost like we have two plans. We have an incredible unit-level plan, and we have a CEO plan. When I'm talking to people, though, and signing them up with the CEO package, I make sure that I get them an auto ship of 150. Step 2, I want to make sure that I develop my list. One of the questions when people say, well, who do I put on a list? I simply say, look, if you're the chairman of the board or the president, who would you hire to be your CEO? Who would you hire to be your president? Who would you hire in the top offices of your company if you were starting one today? And whoever those people are, those people's names need to go on the list. You need to have not one list, you need 2 lists of at least 50 people. And on the first list, I always say make that first list of people that you can think of that could use an extra $500, $1,500, $2,500 a month and more. Because I can promise you, as I said earlier, 4 out of 5 people in our wonderful country at some time will need that. The second thing is I make a list of at least 50 people who need the product, because so many people need the wonderful products that we offer. Next, step number 3 is after you have your list is to extend an invitation. The invitation is probably, and I've asked a lot of people in my 30 plus years now in the industry, what's the most important skill set that a person can have? And one of the top 3 that I always, people always tell me is the person who can give the greatest invitation will be the person who is the one who finds success. Let me give you just a few tips real quick on what you need to do as you're creating your invitation. First of all, you need to know that in reality, there's 2 invitations, at least that I like to create. One for product users and one for business builders. The 9 steps that at least that I've listed over the last 30 years is, number 1, your invitation doesn't need to be any longer than 30 seconds. Guys, if it's longer than 30 seconds, you're going to lose that person's attention. Remember, the purpose of the invitation is to invite John and Jane Doe to learn more. And so it doesn't need to be longer than 30 seconds. Before you even talk to John and Jane Doe, think of what you want to say. Number 3, write it down. And this is a very, very important step. And I tell people, please write down what's your invitation and what you think it's going to be, because in reality, when you write it down, usually it's 2 pages, 3 pages, or something like that. And I can promise you, you can't deliver a 2 or 3 page written out invitation in 30 seconds. Next, practice that invitation. You practice that invitation so that when you see John or Jane Doe, you can extend the invitation anywhere you are. Step number 5 is very, very important. When you think that you have your invitation ready, I want you to take your phone, or I want you to take your movie camera, and I want you to film yourself. And after you film yourself, I want you to look at that. And I want you to say, or I want you to ask yourself, would I say yes to that, to that invitation? And if the answer is no, call your upline for help. If the answer is yes, then it's ready to start extending your invitations every day. And so that's what 6 and 7 are for. When you're extending that invitation, the things that I keep and always taught, make sure it's sincere and from the heart. And finally, make sure, that's why those lists are so important. Make sure that you invite at least 5 people a day to learn more. Sometimes people tell me, Keith, I don't have time to do 5 invitations. And I say, well, if they're 30 seconds long, 5 invitations is 2.5 minutes. Let me give you a couple examples real quick. If I'm talking to a friend, John Doe, and if I know that John has recently taken a job because their budget is struggling and everything, my invitation, just short, simple, and sweet, is, John, I know that you've recently taken an extra job at night, and I know it's hard for you to have to leave your family. John, if I can show you a way where you can earn an extra $500 or $1,000 or even $1,500 a month, and John, not just for 1 month, but we're talking about for months upon end. John, would you be interested in learning more about that? And don't get me wrong, sometimes people say no, but the majority of the time, if an invitation like that is extended, then I've received a lot of yeses with that. At the same time, I'm talking to Jane Doe. Jane Doe is suffering from arthritis, and I'd say, Jane, I know that you've been suffering for the last 5 years of your life, and I watch you as you've moved, and I feel very, very bad. If I could share a product with you that could possibly help you a little bit with the pain, that could possibly help you with things like that, would you be willing to learn more about that? If you have something that could help Jane with that, I can tell you, Jane will want to know more. That's why the invitation is so very, very important. It leads to the presentation. The presentation, when you join a company, and this happened, for example, when I joined Youngevity, I didn't give, even though I've been in the industry for 30 years, I didn't go out and give the first presentation. I called my upline and I said, Erlene, I said, Tom, I said, Craig, I need help. Would you please let me listen to you? And I've listened to Tom and Denise Chenault, and they did their presentations. And I was very quickly writing down notes while my guest was on the phone, and he was also listening. And from listening to Tom and Erlene and other people like that, I was able to develop my own presentation that I could give at any time or place. Now, here's the great thing. Most or a lot of people don't like to have to give a presentation. With our company, you don't have to. First of all, a lot of times you may find a group or a team meeting close by. You can use your upline like I did. Youngevity also has an online presentation where you can send people to. Then step number, there's a few more things about the presentation. Let me just concentrate for a second on number E. The presentation must be from your heart. If you'll talk from the center of your heart with your the people, I can tell you the likelihood that they will join escalates very quickly. Finally, the close. A recent a survey showed that 70% the National Manufacturers Association, they did this great big survey, and they watched people who would walk in to a store and walk back out with nothing. And they wanted to find out why did that person not make a purchase when they obviously walked in the store to look for something. 70% of the people did not say, I was put off by a salesperson who was just kept on trying to talk me into a sale. 70% of the people said, I was never asked. And the same thing, I'm not sure it's the same percentage or statistic, but I've seen some of the greatest presentations in my life. But at the end, either the person giving the presentation, they start to close down a bit, and they don't ask for the close. Guys, always ask for the close. That is so very important. I'm going to skip over because we're past our time for everything that we had for tonight, and I apologize. It's my fault. A lot of times when I get to talking, I can't stop. But I do want to say this. All of us are very, very, very fortunate. We are involved with a company. Beyond, at least in my mind, I know of no other company in this industry that has grown 1,200% over the last 5 years. But ours has. I've known no other company that has been able to help people so quickly because of a compensation plan that works for each and every person as long as they are willing to work with it. Guys, I always say in front of anybody and everybody, this is the greatest industry in the entire world that we're involved in.